Hello, my name is Bryce with Whetstone Designs, and in this short video we're going to look at timber framing and give you a quick overview of what it is. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what a timber frame is, how you get a timber frame, how much a timber frame costs, and what is the next step in getting a timber frame. So what is a timber frame? A timber frame is a post and beam construction method that is joined together with traditional mortise and tenon joinery held together with wooden pegs. They give you many benefits, including being strong and durable structures. They create beautiful spaces that inspire people, and they lend themselves to green building practices. They can also be used in residential or commercial projects. So timber trusses are an interesting aspect of timber framing. They can be either structural or non-structural. They offer flexibility in design. You can utilize the SIPS roof panels in your construction. And including those benefits, the biggest one is that it can also save you a tremendous amount of money. So there are different truss styles used in timber frames. You have the common truss, the king post truss, the queen post, hammer beam truss, and the scissor truss. And you can actually blend all 5 of those and create different looks and feels in your project. So exterior porches are very popular on homes whether they have timbers inside or not. You can create entry porches and rear porches, decks and screen porches as well. Timber frames that have hips and valleys offer unique solutions that solve span requirements. They're often visually appealing, and they offer complex joinery solutions that help solve unique problems in your project. Live edge timbers are very popular in timber frames. They allow you to bring the natural edges of the timbers into your home or project. They can be either taken as cants, as 2 flat sides, or used completely in the round. There are many different interior finish choices when you have a timber frame. First, the timbers. You can have different species which give you different colors and hues. The timbers can be finished with an oil finish, they can be stained, and they can be distressed. And you can actually combine all 3 of those to achieve really unique results. The tongue and groove sealant material that gets put on top of the timbers gives you a lot of options as well, both the material choice and the finishes. After that, you have embellishments, and those include carving and pendants. And these can be added in unique places in your frame to really accentuate features, or as simple as putting a date that your timber frame was raised. You also have chamfers in timber frames, which really just eases the edges of the timbers to create different looks and feelings. Hybrid construction is an alternative method that's gaining a lot of ground. It uses conventionally framed walls, timber frame roof system, and SIPS roof panels to cover everything. The biggest benefit that I see is the cost savings and the flexibility it can give you in your construction process or project. Structural insulated panels are very popular when using timber frame construction. They also give you speed of install, they're very energy efficient, and you can solve some structural issues very easily, such as overhangs and rakes. So how do you get a timber frame? Well, first you need to be inspired, and I'm guessing if you found this video, you've already been inspired. Then we go into design, progress into engineering, and then finally your timber frame starts to be cut, and then raising in site work. The first process is the design process, and in this we have several phases. The first phase is the conceptual drawings. And these allow you and your team to see inside the timber frame and how it interacts with the house. Then we develop the sign-off drawings, which gives you dimensions and information so you know exactly what you're going to get. And then we develop construction drawings. And these give everyone, including the engineer, all the information they need in order to complete the job. And then if we need to, we'll develop piece and shop drawings for the timber frame company depending on the complexity of the timbers. Following design is engineering. Why do we need an engineer? They look at each piece in the timber frame and calculate the values so that they know that each timber is structurally sound and that each one can hold the loads that we're going to put upon it. They also can engineer specific elements into the timber frame that we normally cannot use, such as parallel cord trusses or keyed beams. Here's the process. We take our drawings, the construction drawings, and send them to the engineer. He reviews them, makes notes, and sends them back to us. Then we simply make those changes and go back and forth with the timber frame company to really dial it in. Then the drawings go back to the engineer for him to stamp. It's that easy. So in cutting a timber frame, first you have layout, where all the joinery, marks, cuts are laid out on the timber. You cut all the timbers with power tools, chain mortisers and saws, routers, sanders. And then you finish up with the polish work with hand tools using chisels. And then the timber frame company pre-assembles the timber frame in their shop before it gets out to the site. Raising day is a great day, and it's a fun day for everybody. First, they assemble the timber frame on your subfloor. They raise the timber frame with cranes or hands. And then they finish up the work either driving pegs or running electrical wires and conduit. So how much does all this cost? It's a little hard to say right off the bat, so let's look at some factors. The type of wood varies the cost greatly. If we take a standard white pine timber frame and change it out and replace it with oak timbers, it's going to be 6 to 8% more. If we take that same white pine frame and change it to a cypress frame, it's going to be 12 to 14% more. So you can see how that can vary the cost quite a bit. The finishes that you choose, whether it's a basic oil or a more complex finish, can also greatly affect the cost. The complexity of the timber frame. Does it have a lot of the hips and valleys that we talked about earlier, or is it a straight frame? The site requirements vary greatly. Will the timber framer have enough space to lay out all of his timbers and get a crane in there? These can affect the cost. And also the scope of work, what you have the timber framer do. Is he going to just do the frame, or is he going to put tongue and groove on top of the timber frame and the SIPs? So what's the next step? Frame concepts and renderings are the first step in the process. We develop these based on existing architectural drawings that you have or ones that we develop with you. Then we develop accurate construction material takeoffs so that you can get apples to apples pricing from the various timber frame companies that we can help you find. So if you have any questions, give us a call at 864-638-7731 or email us at info@whetstonedesigns.com. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the video.